Welcome to Unitar's tutorial on screening with a Clor-N-Oil test kit. Dielectric oil can be tested using colorimetric methods to confirm whether PCB concentrations are above or below 50 parts per million. Here we present step-by-step sample screening with the Clor-N-Oil 50 test kit. This kit is a complete set which comes in pocket size. The screening procedures should be strictly followed and performed by a technician with specific training. The test kit contains all the material needed for the screening. An instruction manual with a color chart to determine the result. A yellow extract indicates concentration above 50 parts per million. Plastic tube number 1 has a black dispenser cap, which contains an ampule in the bottom and a grey ampule in the top. Plastic tube number 2 with a white cap contains 7 milliliters of buffer solution and 2 ampules. Then there is a 5 milliliter pipette. And a disposal ampule for the final step. Finally, this is our sample that we are going to analyze. Unscrew the black dispenser cap from tube number 1. Use the pipette to transfer the oil into tube number 1 up to the 5 milliliter mark. Close the black cap securely. Break the bottom ampule by pressing the sides of the tube. Mix thoroughly by shaking the tube for about 10 seconds. Break now the top grey ampule into the tube and shake thoroughly for about 10 seconds. Allow the reaction to proceed for an additional 50 seconds while shaking several times. Release pressure by unscrewing the cap carefully. Place now both tubes into the holder of the box and remove their caps. Pour the clear buffer solution from tube number 2 into tube number 1. Close the black cap tightly and shake vigorously for about 10 seconds. Vent the tube carefully every few seconds by partially unscrewing the cap. close securely and shake well for an additional 10 seconds. After the last vent, place the tube upside down on its cap. Let the phases separate for precisely 2 minutes. Use a timer. If the oil layer is below the buffer solution, do not continue the test, because that indicates that the oil is pure PCB. For this sample, it is the case. It contains pure PCB, and we will not continue the test. Let's take the next sample. The sample preparation is almost finished. Let the sample phases separate for precisely 2 minutes. Here we can see a clear separation, and the oil layer is the upper layer. Therefore, we continue the test with sample number 2. To compare, we can see that in sample number 1, the oil phase is under the buffer solution. This means that the density of the oil is higher than that of the buffer solution. This indicates that the sample contains pure PCB. In sample number 2, the oil layer is above, and therefore the screening procedure should be continued. For the further analysis, position tube number 1 over tube number 2 and open the nozzle of the black dispenser cap. Be sure to point the nozzle away from the operator while opening it. Dispense 5 milliliters of the clear solution into tube number 2, up to the mark, by squeezing the sides of tube number 1. When a second squeezing of the tube is required to get 5 milliliters, allow the mixture to separate before squeezing the tube again. Close now the caps of both tubes. Continue by breaking the bottom ampule of tube number 2 and shake for 10 seconds. Break the top ampule and shake for 10 seconds. Observe now the color in the tube and compare it to the color chart. This sample turned purple, indicating that it contains less than 50 parts per million PCB. If a sample solution appears yellow or colorless, it contains more than 50 parts per million PCB and should be tested further with gas chromatography. The analysis is now finished, and the sample needs to be disposed safely according to the TCLP regulation by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. For that, add the disposal ampule into the sample tube. Break the ampule and shake for 5 seconds. The reagent immobilizes the mercury, and the tube is now ready for disposal. We wish you a successful screening.